All right. Well, when I agreed to do this, I knew it was not going to be easy because today, in fact, is the last day of 2 straight weeks of a business trip all over Asia for me. In fact, today started 28 hours ago for me in Melbourne, Australia. But you cannot win if you don't play, so I'm here to play. This is going to make a lot more sense in a few minutes. Look, I'd love to start by asking any of you who doesn't have a lot of aspirations in life, any of you who wants your life to be nothing more than a wasted opportunity, please come up to the stage. We want to know who you are. Anyone? That's what I thought. I believe that all of us are born wanting to matter in some way, wanting to give meaning to our lives, wanting to amount to something that we can feel proud of. The problem is that is really reserved for the lucky few, isn't it? Well, I don't believe it. I'm sure there are different paths to success, perhaps even different definitions of success. But I'm here to share with you my recipe on how to fill your life with meaning to the point where you will feel successful. And it's best done with the help of tennis. For hidden in the game of tennis is the 5 steps you have to take to become a world-class number 1. Now, before we start, why should you even listen to me? Nowadays, opinions are a dime a dozen. Well, my name is Eduardo Lecubarri. What I do for a living is I make people money by investing in small and mid capitalization stocks. These are companies worth up to $10 billion in the stock market, and that makes up more than 80% of all the companies that trade in the stock market in the world. In what I do, like in tennis, we get ranked every year, right? In tennis, the tennis player that has been ranked number 1 most times is Djokovic. He's achieved that in 13 different years. Well, I've been ranked 25 times, including the last 16 years in a row. So give me 10 minutes of your time, because I'm going to make it worth your while. So here we go. 5 steps to success. The first step is you have to choose your court. It cannot be the court that other people want you to play in. It has to be your court. All right, Djokovic is the tennis player who's won the Australian Open most times. Nadal has done it in clay, winning Roland Garros a total of 14 times. Federer has done it in grass, achieving 8 Wimbledon titles. So what is going to be your court? It has to be your thing, what fires you up, what motivates you. Now, this may be, looking for your court may be something that takes years. In fact, you may have to change lanes a few times. That's okay. But for those of you who are still perhaps looking, 2 pieces of advice. The first one is perspective. Gain perspective before you make the decision. Now, in life, it is impossible to get a taste of everything before you get to choose. But the more doors you open, the more internships you do, the more exchange programs that you participate in, the more people you talk to, the easier it will be for you to find what fires you up. And the second thing is, remember that you're looking for a career, not a hobby. So it has to pay the bills. So when in doubt, choose whatever pays you most. Now, am I telling you to put money first? No, that's not the message. The message is, among the things that fire you up, put money first. When it was my turn to make a decision, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I liked tennis, but I wasn't good enough to be professional. I liked spear fishing, but that didn't have the scope to amount to much more than a hobby. I liked business and I liked math, but I didn't really know what to do with it. That is until my oldest brother was offered a job in investment banking in London. I saw the money he made, the office building he worked in, the people that surrounded him, and I said, that's it for me. This is math, this is business, this is competitive, and it is all of it in a sky's the limit environment. So I set my eyes on Wall Street because that was, and it's still today, the Coliseum of banking. I went to the US, I did a year of high school, 4 years of undergrad, 2 years of an MBA, 3 different internships, a 6 months exchange program, and endless interviews. I used to drive from Pennsylvania to New York City every Friday to meet with anyone who would give me the time of day. And I did that until someone offered me a job. So let's say you know the chord that you want to play in. The next step is you have to play to win. After all, we're trying to achieve success. You have to play to win, right? I mentioned before that in tennis, there is a ranking. For male tennis players, it's called the ATP. And it's very simple how it works. When you win a game, you get awarded points. The more important the tournament, the more points you get. In tennis, every year, there are 4 tournaments that are head and shoulders more important than the rest. They're called Grand Slams. The Australian Open, the US Open, Roland Garros, Wimbledon. Well, a fascinating thing happens in the ATP ranking. You can get to number 1 in the world without ever winning a Grand Slam. Marcelo Rios did it. Ivan Lendl became number 1 before he ever won a Grand Slam. And this is even more so in life. It isn't about a moment of exceptionalism. It is about consistency and relentless dedication. The more you do, the more experiences you have, the better you become. So take every opportunity that you get and create your own opportunities. Don't limit your dreams to fit today's reality. Expand reality to fit your dreams. And there is a tool that I've used that I think is tremendously helpful in helping you do exactly that. Expand reality, differentiate yourself, and win. It's one word: why. In fact, it's a word that has such a profound impact in your life that I want all of us to say it. So on the count of 3, let's say why. 3, 2, 1. My God, you guys haven't had lunch today. Come on, 3, 2, 1. Why? That's it, why? 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 When I was in college and wanting to get to Wall Street, I realized Wall Street is the dream of many, the land of few. I had to differentiate myself. So when I learned that you could do an internship, I went to my professor, I said, I want to do an internship in Merrill Lynch. It was an investment bank. And he said, well, that's all good, but you're 3 years early, because this is only for the last year students. And so I asked a question. Anyone cares to know or guess what the question was? Why? And sure enough, I did my internship and 2 more. When I became part of an exchange program, I was told there is a limit to the things you could do while being in an exchange program. And so I asked the question, what was it? Why? And I ended up doing 4 full credits and an internship during my 6 months in Mexico. It works in other ways. So in June of 2007, I remember being at a dinner in London with an investor. And this person was explaining to me that consumers had learned to live with debt. And therefore, a whole lot of new things were possible. In fact, we were living in what he called a new paradigm. So I went home and I asked myself, why? And next day, I recommended investors sold everything they own in the stock market. Thank God I did. Because that was the beginning of what we know today as the global financial crisis, and the stock market fell more than 50% from top to bottom. On March 2020, that was another good example. This time, it was investors telling me that the world was going to end. And I asked myself why, and the next day, March 17th of 2020, I started telling investors to go and buy back into the stock market, a market that has more than doubled since then. So get in the habit of asking why, because it opens a world of opportunity. So you've chosen your court. You've decided that you're going to play to win. And now comes step 3. You're going to lose. You're going to lose often, and you're going to lose big. And you're going to have to make a decision. Do you give up? Or do you get up, learn from what happened, and play the next point the best you ever have? Now, if you do the latter, and you do it enough times, something beautiful and life-changing happens. You lose the fear of losing. You embrace defeat. You start enjoying the challenge. You realize how resilient you really are. And you understand that nothing or nobody will ever keep you down. Now, when you win, you get to know who you are. When you lose, you learn who you are not willing to be. And that's just as important. Federer, one of the best tennis players of all times, when he retired, he said that he had only won in his professional career 45%, actually 54% of the points he ever played. Well, I've lost too. I've lost often, I still do. And one time I lost big. I was fired. So everything I had worked so hard to achieve was gone from 1 minute to the next, and it had nothing to do with me. It was the year 2000. A guru had come from Hong Kong to Wall Street to cover an industry that was called B2B e-commerce. It was the equivalent of today's AI, something that was going to take over the world. And we all wanted to be part of his team. And he chose me, and I thought I had won the lottery. And a year later, turned out that the gap between expectations and reality was huge. And we learned that we were living in what today we know as the technology bubble. And boy, did that bubble explode. Companies, most of the companies in the industry went to zero, right? 80,000 people lost their jobs in Wall Street. If your job definition had e-commerce in it, you were gone. And that was the whole team I was part of and myself. And I had to make a decision because the thing is, when 80,000 people in a single industry, in a single city, lose their jobs, what happens is that no one is hiring back for quite a while. So I had to make a decision. And my decision was that my dream of working in Wall Street would end when I said so, not when someone made that decision for me. So I called everyone I knew and everyone I didn't know, and I did that until someone offered me a job. So please remember this, never forget this. Defeat does not define you. It can't even stop you. It's just there as a necessary step on your path to greatness. So by now you've taken the 3 toughest steps. You've decided which your court is. You figured out that you're going to play to win. You lost the fear of losing. You've embraced defeat. You are enjoying the challenge. Now what? Rules. In tennis, like in life, there are rules, and you have to follow them. In tennis, you cannot play, let alone win, if you don't know the rules. So what are the rules of life? Well, the good news is each of you has a rule book with you from birth. It's implanted in your heart. I'm a big believer that we all know what's right and wrong. Some people choose to listen to their heart, some people don't, but we all know. Now, in the rare event that in the path of life you lose your rule book, I have a recommendation. The Catholic faith keeps a copy of that rule book intact for you to use whenever you need it. And look, if you don't believe, you don't lose anything, because it's actually a great guideline, a great roadmap to happiness. But if you believe in God, and I do, I think you're going to be happy that you lived accordingly. And this is how you get down to the 5th step, but by no means a less important one. Life, like tennis, is not played behind closed doors. The game of life is played in an arena filled with people watching you. And that's perhaps never more true than nowadays. These are people you can move, people you can help, people you can inspire, you can motivate. We live in a society that wants to make us feel guilty for winning. That's rubbish. Don't buy that nonsense. Celebrate your wins. Because when you win, you motivate people to try harder. And that is what has pushed civilization forward and upward. Always has. And celebrate your losses too. Because you motivate people when you win. But nothing inspires or moves people more than a good example of sheer will and relentless determination to face adversity. So when you win, or when you're staging a comeback, put your fist in the air, punch the sky, shout vamos, like Rafa Nadal does. Because when you do that, you inspire, you help, you move, you motivate, and that adds meaning to your life. Remember this, when you die, and unfortunately you will, whatever you didn't share will die with you. So there you have it. 5 steps to add meaning to your life to the point where you will feel successful. Now, I believe in leading with example. So my name is Eduardo Lecubarri. My core is making people money by investing in stocks. I play to win. I'm always happy, but never contempt. I've lost the fear of losing a long time ago. In fact, I feel alive when challenged. I try to do the right thing. I've been married 30 years to a beautiful girl who is a sea of tranquility for me. And I'm the proud father of 2 sons who have will in their hearts and God in their souls. And last but certainly not least, I don't play behind closed doors. I'm here for you. Jaime has my telephone number, so if I can be of help, call me. Because if you win, we all do. Now, that's me. I think the important question today is, who are you? And perhaps the real question is, who do you want to be? Thank you.